Public Q&A presents Ask Reddit question. Where can you find fair, honest and reasonably unbiased opinions on world news and politics? PBS NewsHour. I can't believe no one else commented this. They do a spectacular job every night at 6 p.m., and it's all on YouTube as well. I am amazed as well that it's so unknown. It's the best news outlet there and largely addresses people's concerns of biased news, because they have some of the best journalists there is. They make everyone else look like bloggers. I really don't get why it's not more popular. Maybe because it's not 24 hours. It's because it's not 24 hours. My parents like to watch the news at 9, when there's only other biased choices. My parents generally watch CNN, but aren't huge fans of it. So they tend to alternate between that and local news channels. We have cable so I can check if PBS NewsHour is on demand. And yes, a huge problem is that people tend to think that pre-recorded news is old news, and focus on whatever is happening now to be the most recent and up-to-date. If you're willing to stream, I know many older people prefer cable. The YouTube channel has the episodes up all the time. Yeah, this is exactly the problem. My parents don't stream news. They'll stream movies and stuff, but they've this idea that since cable is live that the feed they're watching is live, and so they're getting up to the minute, actual, verified, trustworthy feeds. As if these stories aren't cobbled together days, or at least hours ahead of time, then put on the same 20-minute cycle. I've seen this mentality eat up my mother-in-law's brain over the past few years. That plus social media, Facebook posts mainly, being posted constantly means it surely must be the latest information, right? She's gone from a slightly left-leaning centrist, 7, maybe 10 YRS ago, to a vote for Trump or the economy will fail and we will all die right-winger. I also love PBS NewsHour. I assume it isn't watched by many because it doesn't include enough screaming, and they spend more than 30 seconds on a story. My dad, who always complains about the news he watches, both CNN and Fox, apparently isn't actually interested in finding a better option, because I keep telling him PBS is the answer. When HBO's Newsroom came out and characters said they would present the news in this shockingly new way that isn't sensationalist, I was like, yes, this is what PBS has done for years. What my short life on Earth has taught me is that people would prefer to sit and complain than actually fix the problem. It's why when you're consoling someone you're just supposed to listen, and not offer advice. On small-scale interpersonal relationships, sometimes people just need to vent, and there's nothing bad with that. When it's continuous and they never try to fix their problem that it gets annoying. It also doesn't have commercial breaks. How can I learn about all the new drugs I might need to ask my doctor about? Web address. How can a comment with this much karma not have a link to the channel? This is the internet, and hyperlinks are how it was built. Yes. Judy Woodruff fills my home every morning as I get ready for work. Lisa Desjardins' eyes lit up a few weeks ago before she literally said, "Now on to my favorite part, time to talk about some numbers and facts." Heavy black heart. All gas no brakes. I fucks with the guinea horn. Clitorius. Throwback to that one guy on the beach who said something along the lines of squeezing limes into your eyes, snorting salt, slamming your head on the table, drinking, and then talked about how he fucked his friend when she was right next to him. Made me understand why the older generations might hate us. Show your butthole. Reveal your rectum. But pussy. That dumb shit screaming "but pussy," and the old man standing at attention with his hand over his heart like General Patton just gave a pre-battle speech kinda makes me laugh. From Eastern Kentucky. Don't judge. Grammar good. Cocaine, bad bitches and alcohol. Holden. My bad bitch from Marquette. I love him because while he does seem to have a minor bias, as all people do, he doesn't fish for answers, which is what every fucking news does. Like he asks a question, gets an answer, and then when he gets an answer he asks something else. And the questions aren't supposed to trap you either, they're meant to be completely vague, open questions. Think he's getting a TV show? My mate from uni works at IKEA in law, and he came in to buy all the shit for his new app there. Yeah, he signed a deal with Tim and Eric's Absolutely Productions for a web series. Tim and Eric's Absolutely Productions for a web series. I would argue that the bias is within who he interviews. It is for entertainment, so he will leave in the craziest interviews that are not actually representative of the population. I can second this. His reporting on FurryCon was nothing but facts. FurryCon? Do you mean Midwest Furfest, you fucking Philistine? It's like when Franklin the fantastical fuck Falcon speaks, he doesn't even listen. Ambiguous nodding. But pussy. I understand this is a joke answer, but I've noticed some of his videos are cut and edited in a way to change/manipulate answers to questions. Also, he specifically selects the extremes. It's entertaining and is still informative, but it's not necessarily 100% honest. Not that anything is, of course. I mean, it depends on the video. If you want to see him play people's quirks up for entertainment, check out the Area 51 raid or Gem and Jam. But his work on the Minneapolis or Portland protests was honestly just some damn fine reporting. True. The protest ones were probably the best and most honest. The Simpsons is pretty incredible at predicting some things, such an episode being released in 2000, set in 2021, where Donald Trump had just finished a 4-year term and left the country in awful condition. It was then up to new President Lisa Simpson to fix it. WTF, writers. Stop doing that. The only thing more eerie would have been if a woman had gotten the Democratic nod this year, as Lisa was shown as the first woman president. They didn't predict the 2020 great disaster. Futurama warned us though. Simpsons did show how crazy people would behave in a pandemic. That was proven to be fake. The Onion is the most trustworthy news site in the world. You can absolutely trust that any and all news is made up at the time of publication. The Onion takes no responsibility for reality changing to match their news. Editors from Onion ghostwrote this. The Onion's journalists are all branded with the curse of Cassandra, and nothing can convince me otherwise. The Onion was right exists for a reason. Satire has been an unbiased source of truth and commentary for centuries, especially in the face of authoritarian power. Unbiased opinion show. Can an opinion be unbiased? It's an opinion. That's exactly what I thought when reading the question. Everyone assumes OP wants unbiased news sources, but that's not the actual question. I find that fascinating because it shows how intertwined opinion and assumption are in how people communicate. It's so deep that even an accurate question and response is difficult to accomplish. You can't have unbiased news sources either. You should always be thoughtful about what the biases are. So should the news outlets themselves. Right next to the Fountain of Youth, which in turn is right next to the McDonald's that has a working ice cream machine. Holy shit guys, there's someone who loves me right across the road. Oh, and of course the place where you can actually see John Cena. No one sees John Cena. What is this, an improv GRP? I had chicken for lunch. Me too, probably should have removed the feathers though. Here's your featherless biped, asshole. Thank God for commas. Behold, an honest Politico. John Cena's a myth. Nobody actually seen him. They're all here in Finland then. Or at least the working ice cream machines. They all have working machines, just nobody willing to clean them. No, we clean them, we just don't use them after we clean them so we don't have to clean them again. Next door to the hot MILFs in my area. I don't know about where you live, but there's tons of MILFs within a 5-mile radius of me just awaiting my email. I believe they are waiting specifically for me. Just remember. No credit card and no BS. Lies. I am from St. Augustine. There is no such news source around the fountain. Seed please. Porn comment sections. Just gotta find people while they're in post-nut clarity. AMA. What is the best sandwich? The one mom makes. Brew. I did not expect this reply at all. It's like Keanu Reeves saying I know the ones who love us will miss us. As his reply to what happens after we die. I am Mickey Mouse. They don't know who's inside the suit. Keanu Reeves. Damn. Knowing his life story, that hit deep. Hits even deeper when you know the life story of the interviewer who asked the question. When he was 10, Stephen Colbert lost his father and 2 brothers in an air crash. So he gave the perfect answer to a person who is someone who knows loss as deeply as he does. You can see how it gives the interviewer connection, peace, release and expression almost instantaneously. Keanu Reeves busted a nut at 14yo and is constantly at that post-nut clarity state of mind. Keanu is the next Chuck Norris. But like for different reasons. We need to bring back Celebrity Deathmatch, just to see a Keanu vs Norris fight. I needed that this morning. Thanks post_orgasm_mind. Surprisingly wholesome. Unexpected. Can confirm. Your mum makes superb sandwiches. If Jesus stood on a river, does he stand still or move like on a conveyor belt? I'll need a few more nuts for this. BRB. I don't know if Jesus will appreciate you thinking about him as you nut several times. Heard he's not a fan. Now you're thinking of figs. I nut 4 times for this question and meditated. It will be like a conveyor belt, think of the river as moving land. You might need a few more nuts. If this was the case, then when he appeared before the ship of apostles he'd be flailing hither and thither with the ocean waves. Would ruin the savior vibe my man is going for. Homie got that strong PNC. You know I am imagining this as someone on a giant waterbed. Do you think the ocean is a giant waterbed for Jesus? I see. Next question, since Jesus was resurrected 3 days after his death, can we classify him as a zombie? He's a lich. Edit, spelling. Are you happy? I just nut. What'd you think? I just wanna be happy, not horny. Then jerk it. What is the purpose of life? To understand the cosmic joke. My friends Lucy and Aya can tell it to you. What was the last thing you watched? ASA Akira BTS. How do you constantly stay in this state of mind? Years of meditation and a complete surrender to God will really help you in. JK. It's mostly ASA Akira, and Heather the exhibitionist wife. A quick way to differentiate between pre- and post-nut comments is to see whether they are talking about how hot the video is or how ashamed they are of watching the video. Or as the Japanese call it, kenjei teimu. Not Reddit. The one good thing about Reddit is that if you subscribe to the right subs you can at the very least make sure you are seeing all of the different biases. And if you subscribe to r/world news you still get to hear about Trump and the us every 10 seconds. And if you subscribe to r/world politics, well you sure get something. Try r/anime_titties for world news with strict enforcement of NOAA's domestic news. No, I am not joking. This is why I love and hate Reddit equally. I personally love r/Super Bowl and r/marijuana enthusiasts. I knew about r/trees and r/marijuana enthusiasts, but I never heard about r/Super Bowl. It's glorious, thanks. How did this happen? Why are trees and marijuana switches? Whoa. It's because trees was first and then when a real tree sub was created they just went with the joke. This happened like 10 years ago lol certainly before my time here, Redditers of old are a funny bunch, same with r/John Cena. r/potato salad r/John Cena. Ah, so another r/trees situation. Only that one I understood. Yes, it's just like r/trees, and r/marijuana enthusiasts. It went like this, r/world politics mods took too much of a hands-off approach, so someone in protest started posting anime titties. Since mods refused to censor this led real titties. Later WH40K subreddits begun anti-thought crusades. R/prequel memes and r/shitpost crusaders, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures fans, joined in on fun of trying to outvote soft porn. At some point during early stage, r/anime_titties was made, because if r/world politics is full of anime tits, it's only appropriate that r/anime_titties would host world politics and news, right? The reason why I particularly like r/anime_titties, yeah, I know how it sounds, is strict ban on us domestic news. Edit, I found r/subreddit drama write-up about this web address. This story reached r/all, that's how I became aware of r/anime_titties. Thanks for that. Easily one of the best subs. Doesn't have the same bullshit political bias/agenda that r/politics r/news, and r/world news has. Risky click of the day does not disappoint. I entered expecting politics, left with a boner. God damn it. Head over to r/anime_titties for legitimate global politics. The greatest bamboozle. Just like r/trees, and r/marijuana enthusiasts are swapped. R/John Cena, and r/potato salad, too. LOL. WTF happened here? Till I am a rock dweller. R/world politics got taken over by hentai and mods refused to do anything, so in response, Redditors created r/anime_titties, which is a well-moderated subreddit about world politics. R/world politics is a disaster. Found it looking for legit news. Didn't know about r/anime_titties though. Thanks and subbed. Today I joined r/anime_titties, and cannot wait. Today I learned my husband next browses Reddit on new phone, reads the sub's name, and is like, WTF wife, why are you following a subreddit called anime titties? The world news mod team got mad at what they called censorship and so refus 3D to moderate. Thus, the everything. That subreddit has improved dramatically these past couple of months. Agreed. Indeed, r/anime_titties is the truly superior sub for world news. Haha WTF, you weren't kidding. Wait, it is world news. Of course. What did you think it was for? That's because r/world politics is odd. I get a weird sort of smug satisfaction out of reading an article on r/world news, going to the comments, seeing the top comment, with like 10k upvotes, and 3 awards bitching about how America is so shit, then copy and pasting a quote from the article that shows the issue was in a completely different country. People just assume random shit without reading. Most recent one I can think of was someone went on some tangent about how these people were just being kept in prison cause private prisons making profits and slave labor and blah blah blah, and someone replied, this is Canada. Canada doesn't have private prisons. And no. Reddit by its very nature is an awful place for news because of the upvote/downvote system. A conservative or liberal subreddit will be extreme by its very nature. Reuters. Except in Canada, where their owners live. You get the same problem across most news organizations. They are better with factual reporting abroad than at home because of conflicts with the people who run things. Like how Al Jazeera has a good reputation for English reporting on world news, but is super shirty for bias on Middle East/Qatari issues. I was gonna say as a Canadian, Reuters has always seemed biased as fuck. Live in Canada after moving from the US Talk to a global politics major, they told me straight up that it's easier for them to find reliable information about Canadian news in their second native language of Polish than it is to listen to local news. They don't really do opinion, it's mostly just barebones factual reporting. Their opinion/bias comes more from what stories they conveniently don't report. But what they do report is pretty unbiased. Even then, the lead they use, the grammar, the phrasing, etc. all can be neutral and passively voiced, but it changes interpretations. Like a man has died from injuries sustained during a police-involved shooting, and a man was killed after being shot by an officer convey two very different tones. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of how neutral language can create a bias. Very valid point. As a news reader, or receiving the news in some other form, you always interpret what you see, hear or read based on your own lenses. It never ceases to amaze me how, for example, me and my wife can hear, or see, etc., the exact same thing, but if we analyze how we understood and interpreted the message, we may be worlds apart, or see it from completely different perspective and understand and apply it differently. Exactly. That and the Associated Press. It's literally just the news with no spin or personal takes. You might miss out on some of the implications of stories, however. I'm not sure how you can have an unbiased opinion though. Op's question doesn't make much sense to me. Opinions are flawed, biased by definition, or so I thought. AP and Reuters. This is where all the news organizations get their news from. Then they apply their bias. Exactly right. That's literally the news. It's what all the other places use, then put spin on it. Associated Press is just actual news stories. It might not give you the whole picture, such as the implications, always. But it definitely is the actual news. More than anything, don't rely on 24-hour news channels, or weird fringe sites you find on Facebook or something. When people ask this question, the problem is that they're generally looking for a more concise and easily digestible delivery method. Something you can digest with a bit less time and effort than the AP archives. And the closest thing that I can think of which fits that bill is PBS NewsHour. The easier it gets, the less accurate it is. The Reuters app has a great feature where it asks you how much time you have, then provides you a series of the latest news stories to fit that window. While I agree that they're excellent sources, it isn't accurate to say it's where all news comes from. Many news sources do their own investigation and reporting. Even left or right-leaning news will source its own news. I don't think most commenters here know the difference between a wire service, news department, and editorial department. What is the difference? A paper has a news department and an editorial department. The news department writes unbiased articles on events. The editorial department writes about opinions. The two departments are independent, and any editorial bias in the news department erodes the paper's integrity. It doesn't matter how you lean politically, you should be able to trust the facts of a news story in the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post. A wire service simply writes news articles that are sold to other media organizations. Papers can't have reporters everywhere, so they rely on these services or other papers' reporters. Of course, this is how it works ideally, but I'd say the major newspapers strive to keep their news unbiased. Cable news, on the other hand, has devolved into naked sensationalism and even propaganda at times. Associated Press, AP, and Reuters are both wire services. That is, they report what happens/is happening, and they have offices around the world dedicated to do just that. A news department like a local or national television/radio/newspaper subscribes/pays for that raw info, and then, at times, reports it exactly as they get it from AP/Reuters/Wire. If the info is super important and imminent, like if a meteor is about to slam into Earth. Later, once they have time to actually see how this fact affects us locally, they can add stuff from the news department. Journalists can find out stuff like that meteor is hitting thousands of miles away from your town, but will cause a huge cloud over us all. The final aspect, the editorial aspect, is when the media heads, publishers, broadcast/cable owners, etc., are super political and want their product to reflect their views. An example would be Sinclair or Fox or CBSN or MSNBC. These have definite right or left leanings. So, the huge cloud caused by the meteor will be spun as part of global warming, imminent apocalypse, etc. etc. Yeah, whenever I see a headline I am interested in, but that is obviously biased, e.g., Mayor of Town Place has been outed as the creep he is, I'll go and try to find the same on AP, e.g., Mayor of Town Place accused of indecent acts with a minor. It's not particularly useful for local news, but anything big it tends to be alright. Town Place tells Mayor beat it, bozo. Town Place to touching Mayor beat it, bozo. This is where all the news organizations get their news from. That was the case for a while, but clearly other media outlets are out there doing their own stories with their own spin built in. Regardless, those are two pretty legit sources of facts about what's going on in the world. People don't like them when they'd like to be told what to think about those facts. Edit, touch type. Those two organizations obviously can't cover all the news everywhere, so there's still room for other news sources to break stories. Also, in a way, the news that AP and Reuters choose to report reflects some sort of bias, but both organizations also have a long history of journalistic integrity with a few flubs here and there. The Associated Press. It's a nonprofit organization whose content gets republished by tons of other news services. Their bias is about as minimal as you can get, because their tone is pretty dry and fact-based and low on opinions. Their website is simple and straightforward and low on ads. The AP is generally the root of all news you see anywhere else, before each publication adds its own slant and spin. That means it's usually dry as fuck literal reporting of events, and nothing else. Dry as fuck literal reporting the promised land. Agree. AP is as close as you can get. Still has some bias in terms of what they choose to cover/report, but the stories seem to be more based on facts rather than opinion. I am extremely suspect of all national for-profit news outlets, to the extent that I don't read any of it. AP is the only news app I have in my phone. BTW, Reddit is the worst of all for news, but I really enjoy everything else it offers. Omissions and elisions used to be the editorial tool of choice for organizations which alleged neutrality as part of their branding. Worldviews have diverged so much now that most of the lies come out as easy as breathing, simply because finding out whether or not their statements are truthful would be mentally taxing. Honestly, I think it's less of finding an unbiased source, as everyone has inherent biases, but more about finding sources from various viewpoints, doing independent fact-checking, and slowly finding resources that you personally can trust. I lean pretty left, so I have a lot of inherent biases. Regardless, I will still read the primary and secondary sources if I can, to create my own picture of things. Edit, fixed a word. Doing independent fact-checking sounds nice, but in practice, this means people Googling until they find some crank with a blog that tells them what they want to hear. This naive notion of average people doing effective, meaningful research has contributed greatly to our current post-truth world. Isn't one of the key arguments of anti-vaxxy do my own research, which pretty much proves your point? Yep. I found mommyblog.com, which says that essential oils can cure all major diseases. Also, they can sell me those essential oils. Checkmate scientists and doctors. Just to add on this, looking at a Waydo website/YouTube of a chiropractor is not the same thing as looking at primary data from PubMed and coming to your own conclusion. That's what do you research means, at least in science, or actually running an experiment that works too for workers in the field. I've never met an anti-vaxxer who understands the definition of research, evidence, or even the scientific method for that matter. These are the people who tell you gravity is just a theory. Those people only do their own research by looking at the same kind of sources that further perpetuate their own biases, which are usually picked up through word of mouth, and not from actually trying to fact-check anything. They usually put the results in the search. Vaccines cause autism. Go for several news from different countries. I've listed these before, here you go, or Google country news in English. All countries cover USA, not really other way around. France 24 in English, German DW in English, Irish Times, World News, ABC Australia. This is good list. I use other countries' public fund news as a great barometer for what's really going on in the news that day. There's always bias in the media. The best way to find what you're looking for is to read multiple sources and find similarities between them. I'll update if I find a better response. I keep a spreadsheet that ranks sources and details their format, general biases, and who owns them. PBS NewsHour has worked out best for me. Wow! You are still with us. Thanks for being such a nice person. As long as you are here, why not like this video and subscribe to our channel? Also, you can press the bell icon so you won't miss any future uploads.